Welcome back, guys, to the Everything Goes podcast with Ace, my dad, me, myself, and I. And it is another Monday episode that 2 weeks in a row.
If you don't know us, guess who the dad is?
I wonder.
No.
I wonder if people, try and picture our faces and then they see us on YouTube and they're like, "That is nothing." Like I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I found their picture. Like when you click on Spotify, I was like, "Man, I never guessed that's what that kid looked like." Happens.
I don't know if I told you guys this, not to segue too much. Johnny and I interviewed kids that I won't say the name, but we interviewed kids like teenagers.
Yeah.
And we didn't we wanted to look them up after or we looked them up before, or we shied away from looking up before it. It was just sort of total like unreal that these kids were doing this already. Well, then speaking of that, Kris, you're the wrestling kid that's following us. I looked up his profile at Twitter. He's like, 14, I think?
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Speaking of which, we're almost at 3,600 followers. Thank you to all you that tolerate us and listen to us.
If only all those people would watch the podcast and promote us.
It's amazing where
subscribe.
It's amazing where our numbers are going, though. I mean, they are going up. If you look at the YouTube videos, I mean, they are
slowly. We're getting there.
Yeah, and who cares? I mean, we're not doing it for the numbers, but it's interesting.
If
like
you can't have fun doing it with 2 views, then you can't have fun doing it with 1,000 views.
I just like hitting people up on Twitter. Like when I took over Twitter, we were at like 100 people, and now we're over 3,000 plus, and getting that work done.
Well, if you didn't think football was good enough last week, let me tell you, these past 2 games that we had, I actually watched the game, my brother and a buddy of mine, and we all of us said, like, when is the last time that you have watched games like this where literally every single playoff game either went to overtime or came down to I think the past 5 games, I think they said, came down to one last play before the game ended, like to decide the win of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You have the
what a turn of events!
Oh my gosh!
Dude, I ain't gonna lie. I turned the Kansas City game off. I thought it was over. Honestly, wow. I thought it was over. I thought, you know what?
Didn't trust Joey B.
It just goes to show you that Kansas City performed their whole season in one game. You know, they started off the season like crap. Then they went on a hot streak, and they got into the playoffs on a hot end. But they started that game off like the Kansas City Chiefs that won Super Bowls, and then they went back to their old sloppy ways and ended up losing that game.
I can't. I don't remember if it was. I think it was 21-10 going to halftime because I think it was an 11-point.
I shut it off 21-3. I thought it was done.
And they were like Tony Romo and it was a Jim Nantz. They're like, hey, 11 points. That's exactly what it was last time they played each other. Let me tell you, the Chiefs looked dominant in the whole first half. Patrick Mahomes, I think, had 3 touchdowns in the first half. Right? They're running all over this team. They're throwing all over this team. What?
Spectacular touchdowns too. Like that one he threw to Kelsey was amazing.
Like you just see it. You see it's Kansas City's game. He's throwing a Tyreek Hill. He's throwing a Kelsey. It's what you've seen all year. The pocket was perfect for him. I don't know what the Bengals said in halftime. I don't know what they did, what they rubbed for good luck. They come out. Defense is now stopping Patrick Mahomes. I think they didn't score a single point, until like the 4th. Maybe they kicked the field goal.
It was the last. They didn't score till the last seconds.
Right?
Tying field goal.
Patrick Mahomes, to me, when I watched that, especially the last drive, right? He gets the ball with like 8 or 6 minutes left, and they get all the way down the field, literally down to the last minute. And they're on the 5 or 10 yard line. And everyone and their mom is saying, run the clock out.
And everyone else is saying, let them score, let them score, let them score.
And shoot for the end zone, try and win the game or kick the field goal, tie the game. And what happens? He gets sacked and loses 5 yards. And then he runs around, and we saw this in the beginning of the year. We talked about this on the podcast. It looked like he was trying to make some spectacular play to win the game. Strips the ball, gets the ball stripped, almost loses the game right there. And now your field goal went from being at the 10-yard line all the way back to the 35. That was a crazy game. Let me tell you.
But you know what's funny, though, is this game followed the same format that happened in Cincinnati when they played during the season.
Exactly.
Cincinnati got behind early. They were down about the same amount of points at halftime, and it was the same outcome. They came out in the second half, shut down Kansas City, and won the game by 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Burrow, man. Go ahead, Ace. I know you want to chime in.
Yeah, there was nothing. And there was some momentum changing plays at the end of the half too. It was 21-3 with, I think, at the 2-minute warning. They came down, got the touchdown, but then they stopped the Chiefs on the other end from scoring.
Let me tell you, that stop before halftime was huge. They tried to get Tyreek Hill in the end zone. It didn't happen. And
how do the Saints? What? Sorry, not to shove it in, but how do the Saints feel about Trey Hendricks? They probably couldn't sign him anyways.
I'm proud of him and Von Bell, their safety. He was a great safety for us, and he had the interception in the game. Both those players were great. I think when Trey Henderson left the Saints like last year, 2 years ago, he was tied with Aaron Darnold for sacks. I'm pretty sure he tied that this year too. Just the Bengals, man. Like who? I know we all wanted it, right? I don't think and I think everyone wanted them to beat the Chiefs strictly to put Patrick Mahomes' brother and wife out of it. Like nobody wanted that.
The thing that's really impressive though is on the other side of the ball, you got a quarterback, Joe Burrow, who is the first number 1 ever drafted quarterback to go to the Super Bowl in his second year.
Second year.
He's the first guy since 1950 to lead his team on back-to-back playoff game winning drives on the road.
And if you think about it, technically, this is like still his rookie year. He missed more than half of his season last year, right? And then you got to give credit to the coaches. You got to give credit to the coaches and these players. I mean, you think about the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs have so much experience. They've been at 2 back-to-back Super Bowls, won one of them, right? You go into halftime, you're down 21 to I think it was 10, right? Chiefs getting the ball to start the game, and Chiefs are just explosive. And you're able to stop them. You're able to beat them in overtime, right? Everyone thought Chiefs won the coin toss, right? How many of us thought that game was over? I did. I think there was like thousands of tweets that were saying that if the Chiefs score here on this first drive, this rule has to get changed.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it. Even if they get a field goal at the end of the half, they probably win the game.
That's true.
Or, they do win the game.
Well,
they
you know
walk off with a 27-24 the other way around.
You know what's an amazing thing, though? Teams that win in the playoffs the following week, the record is 8-18. So, like, that's including Kansas City's loss. So they won in overtime last week in the playoffs.
Oh.
So the record for teams that win in overtime in the playoffs is 8-18.
Wow.
And Joe Burrow, by the way, could become the third Joe to do something that only 2 quarterbacks have done: win a college national championship and a Super Bowl championship if he wins. There's only 2 other Joes that did it.
Did you see that?
Joe Montana and Joe Namath.
You see that picture of the offensive lineman that is for the Cincinnati right now? Mm-hmm. That was he picked up Joe Burrow. That same lineman was on Joe Burrow's LSU team, and he picked him up after he beat Alabama. I think that's amazing. And Jamar Chase, a rookie, to be going to a Super Bowl his first year in the league. There's a picture of Jamar Chase's dad and Joe Burrow's dad, and they're both smoking cigars together after that game.
But you know what's crazy though is in this draft, Cincinnati could have drafted to fix their offensive line. They didn't. They picked up Jamar Chase. They allowed 9 sacks last week against Buffalo. This week they only had 1 sack. They out-sacked Kansas City. They sacked Mahomes like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that the line stepped up, which was huge because I thought Kansas City's defense was going to be what was really going to get to him. And it looked like he was going to do it early. The first drive of the game, they went 3 and out.
I think the Titans' defense, though, is more physical also. But I don't know how the depth, though, either. I know that I think the defensive line is a little more or the Titans' defense in general is more physical. So I thought this game was going to be a little higher scoring, but not, oh, man.
What do you think is going to be more known for this game, the Bengals comeback or the Chiefs collapse?
Chiefs collapse.
And I think
what if Mahomes doesn't?
This is the 3rd time Andy Reid's lost in the playoffs when he was up by 18 or more.
Ooh. So they give Shanahan crap for all those blown things, but Reid's no better.
But I think if anything, I think it's going to be the Chiefs' collapse. I mean, they had all the momentum in the world. I think this is probably. I mean, it's not the Super Bowl, but I think it's as bad as Atlanta blowing a Super Bowl lead.
Why do I feel like this has been the main theme of this playoff season? Is you have number one, home field advantage has not been a thing.
No.
I think the Rams winning at home was the first team I saw win at home, and technically that wasn't even a home game because of how many Niners fans showed up. But how many teams did we see that were winning by a lot and then just collapse? The Chiefs, man, to have that explosive of a team, I mean, you look at the first half. I mean, Mahomes probably had a good 3 to 4 seconds in the pocket. Like, that's how great the protection was. Like, what changed so drastically there that you would just Mahomes couldn't even make a play? I mean, he was missing people too. It didn't even look like Mahomes.
I think if you look at it though, in the first half, they were rushing 4, dropping 7.
Tyreek Hill was open almost every play.
And in the second half, they were only rushing 3 and dropping 8.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes a difference. And Mahomes was under so much pressure. And then again, like it's almost like he was trying to do too much. Like with that one fumble he had, he was getting sacked. Just tuck it in and go down. But he was trying to get away from the defender, ended up getting it knocked out of his hand. And it almost seemed like he stopped using his legs. Like in the first half, he was rushing a lot, and he was getting away from the pressure, where this time he was running more into the pressure.
I think the key player of this game too, T. Higgins. You know, Jamar Chase didn't have a lot of options one-on-one. He was covered very well. He did get a touchdown. Don't get me wrong.
Well, they lost their tight end early. Too.
Yeah,
that's a theme too, because we'll talk about it soon. But OBJ, wide receiver number 2.
Yeah,
I don't know if T. Higgins is considered number 2, but I think he's talented enough.
I mean, you look at that game. I mean, when there was a third down, like it was a tightrope play. Like Higgins was there, tall guy, high jumps, getting that first down. And I mean, he stepped up huge, and that's what playoffs is about. Guys that step up.
I mean, nobody really in this game had. Both quarterbacks struggled. I mean, their numbers weren't off the board like you saw last week or the week before that, and they both had quarterback ratings under 60. They both had an interception. Mahomes had 2. Burrow had 1. I don't know. I mean, it was a good game, and
it was a heck of a game.
It's a shame that I didn't watch the second half of it.
You know what it came down to again? Came to that kicker, man. Ice in his veins.
You know, there's somebody out there, I heard this today on 105.3 The Fan, that at halftime, they bet $200,000 on Kansas City to win the game, and he ended up losing it.
Well, you see that guy that he bet perfectly the scores of both games for $20.
Won over $500,000.
Yep, $500,000. Way to finish my sentence for me.
It's crazy.
That's why we're a team.
That's why we're a team. $20.
$20
on a parlay to get the scores right.
He picked both scores.
He got them both. I mean, that you have a better shot of getting struck by lightning 10 times in a row than nailing that parlay.
Let me tell you though, and I was talking to you after the game about this. I love the way Joe Burrow just like presents himself when he talks after a game, right? Like what's crazy is I watched the interviews on the TV above you. He was calm. He was very professional in the way he talked. And he wasn't. It was like there was no crazy emotion. Like, don't get me wrong, he was excited, right? But it's almost like he's focused. Where it's like, I know we still got one more game left. Like, I want to celebrate now, but it's like I also know like we're not done.
Plus, everyone wants to anoint him a nickname as well, which I think is kind of comical. Like nobody could just stick to one. Everyone just has to come out of the woodwork.
I just hope he doesn't become like a Johnny Manziel or a Baker Mayfield, where he becomes arrogant, like it's too easy for him. Like, you see some of the things he does off the field, like what he's wearing and, like, some of the stuff that's going on. And I just hope that he doesn't become bigger than the game. You know what I mean? I mean, he's getting all the attention, and he deserves it. Don't get me wrong. But look at Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he went to how many Super Bowls, and he went to how many AFC Championship games. But it just goes to show you, just because you get there doesn't mean you're going to win the big one. And I just hope, because let's face it, Joe Burrow is going to be the face of the NFL soon. Him and Mahomes. I mean, especially if Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers depart. I mean, the NFC is wide open with quarterbacks, but you're the face of the NFL, basically. You're going to probably be on a Madden game. You're doing things that no other quarterback at this age has done. Just don't become bigger than the game.
I don't think he will. I don't think he's like Manziel.
I hope not.
What I love is the
he's
first
too talented too.
What I love too is the first thing he talked about. You know, it's like a dream come true to him. You know, he lived 2.5 hours away from the Bengals. You know, to be the quarterback for your home team and take them to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's a blessing right there.
Just think if somebody put $5 on them beginning of the season to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was probably like a 3,000 plus 3,000
now what
bet
if
or
what if
something.
you do that, right? What if you put $5 on like 5 different teams to win the Super Bowl? Like, imagine the payout for that.
You could do it. I mean, you could do that every year if you wanted.
Yeah,
you could
if
do
you
it to
really
win
wanted
your
to.
division. You could do it on. You can bet on anything anymore. You can bet on
make it.
You can bet on how many field goals. You can bet if there's gonna be onside kicks. You can bet on a lot.
Oh, Ace, by the way, I offer. No,
Hey,
go ahead.
that reminded me, McPherson. Evan McPherson
Great
is
kicker.
9 points away from breaking the all-time points like postseason record.
I think
of
he's
Adam
he hasn't missed like
Vinatieri's.
12 kicks, I think.
Well, Jamar Chase just broke a record for the most receiving yards in a playoffs.
I think Cooper Kupp just broke a record
wow.
too. He just broke how
Yeah.
many receiving yards in a season.
I forget who.
He broke Michael Irvin's record.
And then who was it? Cooper Kupp and OBJ actually were the only two receivers to have 100 yards in the game. They tied a record with Torrey Holt and some Isaac Bruce. They were the only two combos to ever have 100 yards combined, both of them.
Do you know that was
not combined, but-
that was Odell Beckham's first game having 100 yards
In, like,
receiving
30
since
games.
2019?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like crazy.
Ace, I said, could you imagine they don't do a John Madden cover that they did a Joe Burrow cover with him smoking a cigar?
On the cover.
Yeah. Listen,
Hey, there's no more curse, I guess. So why not?
Let me tell you, man, that was a great game. I mean, literally these playoffs have been. I can only imagine what the Super Bowl is going to be like. I'm rooting for the Bengals. I really am. I don't like the Rams. I like Matthew Stafford, but ever since the whole Saints no call, the Rams can go screw it.
Look, I'm happy though. It's two different teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
me too. I think everyone in the world was rooting against the Chiefs, besides Chiefs fans.
How many playoffs is this in a row for them to get to the AFC Championship? Is it 4?
The Chiefs?
Yeah.
At least 3.
I think it's 4. Then Andy Reid Andy Reid is the only coach to take an NFC team and an AFC team to the AFC or the championship game 4 times each.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame as a coach.
Yep.
Oh,
Eagles and the Chiefs. Yeah,
by the
no
way,
doubt.
before we go finish your thing.
So Kansas City basically is the Eagles all over again. Get there, but just can't get there.
I mean, hey, he's been to the Super Bowl the past 2 times though. So I mean, he is getting there.
Hey, and I would bet that Mahomes wins another Super Bowl.
Oh,
I
I'd
know
say another
that's
2. I'd say another 2.
Yeah. Okay.
We were talking yesterday. Like, say Brady does retire. Look at the quarterbacks that we are watching. Right, you have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. You now have Burrow, who is just dominant, right? Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. You can even throw Dak in it. Like, the quarterbacks, I mean, Wilson in the Jets, you never know how good he can turn out to be. You still have Trevor Lawrence that I think if you put weapons around him, he could turn into, like, the next Joe Burrow, if not better. Mm-hmm. Like, this league is set up with some amazing quarterbacks.
Well,
the oldest...
Go ahead, Ace.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
The oldest quarterback in the AFC is, now that Roethlisberger retired, if you can guess him, I'll give you
is he a starter?
A high five. Yep. Yeah. The oldest starter, QB, in the AFC now is...
I'm going to say Carr.
You got it.
Bing, 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 bing.
You
got it.
Yeah, and
Derek
Justin Herbert. I
Carr.
forgot about Justin Herbert.
I was going to say Carr. I was going to say Carr Tannehill.
Yeah, I bet Tannehill is probably got to be 30, but I think Carr's right around 30. I should have actually looked that up. I think he's exactly 29 or 30.
Well, there's an article out there that has the projections for the quarterback carousel for next year, and they actually have Tom Brady as calling it a career and entering retirement. They have Teddy Bridgewater actually they have Teddy Bridgewater signing with Tampa Bay, which is really, really weird. They have Kirk Cousins coming back to Minnesota to play his final year of his contract. They have Aaron Rodgers going back to Green Bay for 2022, which I really honestly believe that's where he's going to go.
I mean, Denver just got Green Bay's offense coordinator.
I know, but still,
it's
it takes money to get him over there. And there's a lot of things saying about trades, the whole 9 yards. You're going to probably lose 3 first-round draft picks to get him.
What do they have for the Saints?
Mitchell Trubisky, they have him signing with Pittsburgh, which is not a bad deal.
I think Mitchell Trubisky was a fine quarterback. Yeah. He wasn't good. He wasn't great, but...
Really?
They have Deshaun Watson getting traded in the offseason before the draft, the 2022 draft, which he can end up anywhere. They have Russell Wilson, which is surprising, staying in Seattle for 1 more year.
Ooh.
They have Jameis Winston leaving the Saints and going with the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
And that's just a few. I mean, you got Wentz now who might be on the move.
Listen, all I'm saying
These are like odds? Were these betting odds?
No, these were just projections for where they think people are going to end up.
Listen, all I'm saying is if the Saints can get a good coach in there, right, and we're able to get under the cap, all we need is a quarterback, right? We still have offensive weapons. We still have the Super Bowl defense to lead us. Like, we just need a quarterback. Whether that's Winston. Yeah, I know. Like, I for the first time ever as a Saints fan, I'm like, I am so eager to get to this offseason because I want to see if I don't really necessarily want to trade for a QB. I'm curious to see if they go in the draft, if they pick up a free agent. I'm just curious to see what they do.
The problem with the Saints, though, is that you guys have pushed money around so often and made so many, not honestly bad deals. A lot of teams do this.
We'll continue to push it away.
Dallas did this for years, too. You push money around and it burns you in the end. But you guys are $76 million in the cap hole. And they're saying that there's a lot of contracts that they're going to be looking to get out of.
Yeah. No,
Michael Thomas might be one of them.
Our GM said we're not going full on blitz here. Also, this is what's weird, right? I don't know how to. Yeah, we're not going to rebuild. That's what our GM said. You never say never. This is what's weird. Ian Rappaport is on the Pat McAfee show a lot, right? And I forget what team he was talking about getting Aaron Rodgers, but this team was like 35 or 40 million cap, and Ian Rappaport was like, "That's really nothing nowadays, right?" And like Pat McAfee was like, all right, well, if that's nothing, then like how bad is New Orleans situation?
Tennessee. I think it was Tennessee.
Yeah, because he's like, if 40 million of the cap isn't bad, like, because like obviously like there's a lot of fake money in the air, right? Like you never truly know with the contracts and all the loopholes.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah, for instance, like is that 75 million after Taysom Hill gets the bigger contract, or is that already in effect, right? So the big answer is how bad really is New Orleans situation. We also have a genius in Mickey Loomis who will, I think, get us down.
Yeah, but the thing is I wouldn't say he's a genius. Because they all do that. It ends up hurting the organization.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They said a coach might take a risk this year knowing that, listen, you're going to coach this year, but we can't do anything.
And I think,
seriously, it's just the draft.
I seriously think that's one of the reasons why Sean Payton left. Is because the cap hole is so big right now. You guys don't know what your quarterback situation is. Yeah. Michael Thomas is just, he's a fluke. You don't know what he's going to do.
Everyone says, everyone says get rid of Michael Thomas. I personally want to keep him. I mean, when he was healthy, he was a top 5 receiver.
I understand that, but when you want to get that cap number down, you're unfortunately going to lose some big names.
They said the Jets. That could be a big suitor for the Jets.
I mean, you look at the Cowboys. The Cowboys have. They have Michael Gallup they got to re-sign. Yeah. They have Cedric Wilson, Dalton Schultz, Randy Gregory. We have 23 free agents that we're going to be a whole new team.
We have a couple free agents, and I would say only one of them is big. It's our safety. I mean, we could wait. If you franchise tag someone, does that affect the cap? Like, are you able to franchise tag somebody?
It's going to go towards the cap. It's guaranteed money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No matter what. I mean, I still think the Saints have a lot of weapons where, like, if you could just get a coach to get in there. But, listen, the Saints have a lot of interviews this week. They just interviewed Doug Peterson previously with the Eagles. He won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. I don't mind that pick. Brian Flores is a big question mark to me because he wasn't on good terms with his own GM. I don't want him to ruin the culture here in New Orleans. And then we also have Dennis Allen.
Miami's a mess. Miami's a mess.
And it's like why has nobody interviewed him yet? Like, I mean, why has nobody signed him yet? Like, he's such a popular coach, but all these teams are passing on him.
Well, I think in the Miami situation was the whole Tua situation.
Yeah,
that broke the locker room because you have a quarterback who's not playing bad.
Yep.
Then you have a coach that wants another quarterback. Yep. You have a GM who's saying we have a quarterback. So it's just an ugly situation.
And I don't want that in my locker room. I don't want a coach to come in and ruin the connection with my GM and my locker room. Like, my locker room, they're solid together right now, and I don't want someone to come in and split that in half.
Well, to get back to the cap for 1 second, the most amazing thing is Cincinnati Bengals are doing this, and they have $56 million in cap space next year. That's a lot of money, man.
I go after
to add weapons.
Linemen. I mean, you really don't need wide receiver help. You really don't need running back help. You need offensive linemen and defense more.
Yeah. But as far as coach, I mean, to get back to Flores quick, I kind of like Flores. A Todd Bowles. Those are those guys that,
Todd Bowles was a good pick.
Don't mess around. These guys are freaking going to smack you in the mouth. I mean, that's the kind of you need a guy that's going to control the locker room.
Yeah.
And I know he did lose it, but they still won how many games in a row for him?
Is Todd Bowles the guy that just signed with the Giants? Right.
No. The guy that signed with the Giants is the guy from the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Who's Todd Bowles?
Todd Bowles is defensive coordinator for, I think, Tampa Bay.
Oh.
He's either Tampa Bay or Arizona.
He interviewed for the Vikings. No, you're right. I think it was Tampa Bay.
Now, we're a little short on time tonight, so we'll move on and talk about the 49ers game, and then we could talk about some of the coaches that did sign after that. The Niners obviously lost 17-20 against the Rams. That was another thrilling game. I actually, what's funny is when I turned that game on, it was middle of the second quarter, and I was like, dang, I think Jimmy Garoppolo must have listened to our podcast because he had like 220 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. And I was like, dang. But then, like, if you watch that game, though, Jimmy G was running for his life, bro. Like, there was, like, especially the last play of the game, like, he literally said hike, and it was just like, you just saw the blue sea run at him. And, like, it was
came
just
after
terrible.
him.
Yeah, I mean, Deebo's, I feel bad for Deebo Samuel. He was so emotional after that game. But, Matt, let me tell you, round of applause for Matthew Stafford, right? Comes out of Detroit, first year with the Rams on a good team. The Rams literally all in on everything they have. They don't have a first-round draft pick till 24.
He's won more playoff games than Dallas.
And Matthew Stafford steps in, and he's going to the Super Bowl. It was amazing to see his wife on the field crying with him. Like, I love Matt. I like Matthew Stafford. There's no hate towards him. I personally don't like the Rams just because they beat us to go to the Super Bowl on a blown call.
Still not elite.
He's not elite. Hey,
yes, going back to last
how
week's
close
episode.
are we though on stuff that we've been calling on this podcast? Right, number one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I called.
You called the Bengals.
I did call the Bengals, right? And then I called Tom Brady retiring, and then we all said, "Could you imagine Aaron Rodgers just randomly goes to Tampa Bay?" Like,
Shoot, I need to look back at the tape on this just to capture the minutes for this. So
to me, I'm just glad that there's two teams there that are going for.
This is gonna be a good Super Bowl.
Stafford's going for his first. I mean, he's going for his first of everything this year, and he's got majority of it, 2/3 of the way done. And just the story of Cincinnati, nobody ever. I mean, what were they? They were 0-8 in 2019.
They had 4 wins last year.
Yeah.
And now they're going to the Super Bowl. They haven't been to the Super Bowl since, what was it, 1988 or something?
That was only their third AFC championship game ever.
They're 3-0 in it, though.
Yeah. So it's crazy. But
it is crazy.
I'm glad that they're. But Jimmy G, I don't care what you say. I think he's done in the 49ers.
Oh, everyone. That's what they said on the TV. They said that was probably his last time playing in a 49ers
He was 16
uniform.
for 30 for 230 yards, 2 TDs, and a touchdown.
You look at his record, though, as a starting quarterback, it's great. I mean, he beat the Rams 6 times. Like, he
didn't. The defense did.
There it is.
The defense did.
But that's another one where, like, you talk about Reed, you talk about Shanahan, like, I don't know. They how many targets did Kittle have? How many, like, you start to base the offense around one player, you start getting out of what you're good at doing too. A lot of but they to that point though, Garoppolo was under a ton of pressure, especially the second half.
Like, and when you want to say Jimmy G's not a bad quarterback, like, I'm looking at the stats right now, like, he had 5 different receivers with 4 to 5 targets, each one average, like, Samuel has 70 yards receiving. Ayuk has 69. Michelle has 50. Kittle had 27. Like, he's spreading the ball. It's not like he had one guy doing the job.
And he's going to have surgery on that finger after the year. So who knows how badly that was hurting him. But I saw some balls that, like, there was a couple gunned in there, but for the most part, he seemed tender a lot of times.
I think
maybe he'll come to since you love him so much. Maybe he'll come to New Orleans.
Hey, everything he touches turns to gold. That's what that porn star
said.
It
does not.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Hey, okay, so he's well endowed down below, maybe.
Hey, listen, I don't know necessarily if I want Jimmy G. I'm just saying, I think he will start somewhere. I don't think he's going to be a backup.
Yo, an interesting stat though for Kyle Shanahan, he's been outscored 53-0 in the fourth quarter of his last 3 playoff games.
Jeez. I got to send you guys...
Or his last 3 playoff losses, I should say.
I have to send you guys this video of, Sean McVay? There's a guy interview him on the practice field of, like, the Rams field. And the guy walks up to him, and he's asking him trivia questions, right? And it's an insane game, right? He asked him... And I don't know if this is from this year or whenever. He'll be like, all right, playoff game against the New Orleans Saints 3 years ago, right? The game to go to the Super Bowl. He goes, it's the second quarter. You have the ball on the 7-yard line, and there's 5 minutes left in the third quarter. You know, what play did you run? He names the exact play and what happens. The next question, he asked him a question about when he was in Washington. He's like, you're on the 7-yard line and you're playing the Bucks are in town or something like that. And before he even finished the question, Sean McVay was like, wheel route, read, touchdown. And it's like a computer of a brain. I'll have to send it to you guys.
The guy in this article put Jimmy G proved once again that the G will soon stand for gone. I love it.
Guy, he has one, but that whole game plan, like, he was hurt. The left tackle for them was banged up too, so he knew he had to get the ball out quick.
And let's not
Rams
forget.
Dominated.
Let's not forget that interception that should have happened by the 49ers. That probably would have ended the game.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, if he catches that, I think the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl.
Look, the thing that's going to be
the
interesting,
missed touchdown though.
The
Rams.
Go ahead.
Stafford threw that dime to the guy wide open. I think the lights kind of messed with him in the first half.
Yeah.
That would have opened the game open a little. So,
they said that with Matthew Stafford going to the Super Bowl and Eminem doing the halftime show, they were like, this is the closest thing Detroit has to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. How about Eric Weddle coming back out of retirement
and he's going to the Super Bowl. You play 3 games and you're going to the Super Bowl.
That's 2 or 3 3 games.
I'd be pumped. I'd be like, man, I made the right decision. Give me a Super Bowl and then I'll retire.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
Who do we got? Who do you guys got going into the Super Bowl then? Because I know my pick.
You know what this is so hard because I feel like I don't mind either team winning, but I would love to see Joe Burrow win a Super Bowl in his second year in the league. I really would.
I got the Rams. Who they say they're gonna beat them craps? The Rams are. I say the Rams.
I agree. I got the Rams.
I just think that if the Rams can get pressure, because the Rams are their defensive line is probably as good as Buffalo's, and they got 9 sacks in that game. So I think if they can get pressure. I think that they can fluster. They can fluster. They can fluster Burrow. I really do.
Yep.
I mean, you got Jalen Ramsey, who's going to be all over Jamar Chase. I know they have Boyd and they have Higgins and they got other weapons. I don't know if their tight end's going to be back in time. They say everything looks good, that he should be back, but I don't know. I'm excited either way. Be honest with you, I'm going to pick the Rams, but if Cincinnati wins, I'm going to be happy either way. It's going to be a good Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Watch, it'll be like a 10-3 final.
I think it will be. I think that
Ty, you got to ride with them. You got to ride.
I'm riding with the Bengals, man. But I'm just, it's just like I've been riding with the Bengals all playoffs, baby. I've been getting them right. I think if you could beat Kansas City, you could beat anybody. But let me tell you, I just think Stafford, the way he just lobs the ball up to a Cooper Kupp or an Odell Beckham, like it's just too easy. Right? I mean, they lost their tight end, though. The running backs didn't really perform too well that last game. I think the Bengals can pull this one out. I really do. Who dey, baby?
I just hope it doesn't become a sloppy Super Bowl. Like, we've seen good quarterback play, like the divisional round and then the next round, but then it kind of did
gotten better and better.
Bet the over.
But you're seeing more interceptions though. So I'm hoping like Stafford don't go back to Detroit Stafford and Burrow don't go back to rookie Burrow. I just hope it's a real good game. I hope both quarterbacks shine. I hope they both have great games. And all right, since you guys picked, who do you think's going to win the MVP?
I think if Matthew Stafford, if the Rams win the Super Bowl, I think they're going to give it to Matthew Stafford because of how long he's been waiting for this. I think technically if Cooper Kupp has another 100-yard receiving game, I think you give it to Cooper Kupp for the season that he's had. I think if the Bengals win, I think it's going to be Joe Burrow. I mean, it's always usually a QB.
I had an amazing Super Bowl stat before I crumbled up my paper thinking I was done with my notes. In 31 of the 54 Super Bowls that have been played, 31 quarterbacks have won the MVP.
Yeah.
Stafford right now's odds are plus 110. Burrow's are plus 225. Of all the wideouts in a Super Bowl, only 7 of them have won the MVP.
Did Edelman win an MVP with the Patriots? Was it, I don't know if you saw that list or if there was a list.
I don't know. But Cooper Kupp right now is plus 100 right now.
What about Cam Akers? What's Cam Akers?
I don't know.
The running back.
I only wrote down the important ones.
He runs for 2 TDs. There's no way they're not giving
what about this?
Quarterback.
Could you imagine this, right? Imagine it comes down to a Bengals
Odell
field goal to win the game. Do you give the MVP?
McPherson.
Do you give the MVP to the kicker who has won you almost every single game? Could you
imagine
Andy
breaks?
First ever kicker to get an MVP.
The only way that'll happen is if all we do is get field goals. If he kicks 5 field goals and wins the game like 15-10.
You know what happens? He gets a clutch field goal before halftime, and then he hits a clutch field goal to win the game.
Oh, that would be so bad for the NFL, man. You had such great playoffs, and the Super Bowl comes down to a kicker kicking 5 field goals for the MVP.
Yeah. I mean, a field goal to win the Super Bowl, though, man, that would just highlight.
I've seen defensive players win it. Seen defensive players win the MVP in a Super Bowl. I just think this year it's going to be quarterback.
Yeah.
I think the best odds.
It's going to be Burrow or Stafford. That's what it's going to be.
Because if Burrow throws for 400 yards and Jamar Chase ends up with 200 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, who are you giving it to? The guy that caught the ball and scored, or are you giving it to the quarterback?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe they should have individual.
It's
back to that whole
MVP talk.
Back to that whole MVP talk.
It's always going to be a quarterback.
I think that if you're a betting man, that's what it's gonna be. It's
So
gonna be a quarterback.
you took the Rams. I'm taking the Bengals. Ace, who did you end up taking?
Rams.
The Rams.
And the Rams are the away team.
They
They're not
can't-
even a home team in their own stadium.
It's going to be, I think it'll end up being a high scoring game because the Cincinnati defense isn't as good as the Rams, but I think they'll be able to stop the Rams on the defensive line a little bit to let Jamar and the other guys eat, as they say.
I just don't think.
I think if you put pressure on Stafford, he's going to struggle. Do you know that they tried changing the area code for who could buy tickets for the Rams game, and it didn't stop the 49ers fans from getting tickets?
But you know what's going to be weird?
No kidding.
There probably won't be a running game in this whole thing because both teams. I mean,
No, I wouldn't say that.
Well,
The Rams have been struggling with the run game besides this week.
No, they're not. They're like the top 3 running defense in the league.
Yeah, the Rams are usually.
Yeah,
I mean, the past couple playoff games, I feel like a lot of people have had a good run game on them
all season. I think the only team, I think only 3 teams all season only had 100 yards rushing on them.
And I think Akers will run all over the not all over the Bengals, but
I mean, Akers only averaged 3.7 yards against the 49ers, and Sony Michel had averaged 1.6.
no, Sony Michel had a terrible
They
game.
didn't do anything.
Yeah, he was
Every
10
time they
for
gave
16.
Every time they gave him the ball, there was someone there waiting for him.
He was 10 for 16, and Cam Akers was 13 for 48. His longest run was 14. I just think Kansas City didn't do nothing against them with the run other than Mahomes rushing. Stafford's not a running quarterback.
So it was weird. They really rotated because Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was running well. And it's like he would go out for like 10, 15 plays, and then he'd come back in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he was secretly hurt or if they were just rotating certain guys for a lot of these plays, but I mean, he wasn't running bad.
Well, Kansas City had 139 yards total rushing, and McKinnon had 65 of it. Hilaire had 36. He only carried the ball 6 times. Mahomes had 19. Hardman had 18.
I guess we got to throw that stat out there before we stop talking about the Chiefs, is that Patrick Mahomes' QBR rating was 149.9 in the first half, and it was a whopping 0 the second half. How does that happen?
Not good. No bueno.
How does that happen? You have Travis Kelce, you have Tyreek Hill, you have McKinnon in the backfield. Like, how does that happen?
They switched defenses, like Kris said too, and
Man.
I don't know.
It's either that or you're getting too cute with your offense and you're making mistakes. I mean, you're up 21 whatever. Why don't you run in the ball more and kill and clock?
How do you blow that lead?
Yeah,
that's gonna haunt Andy Reid. It's gonna haunt him for a whole season. Man. Just like the Bills game. You know, why did the Bills kick the ball off and not squib kick it and kill clock?
Yeah.
So their coach is gonna have to, McDermott or whatever his name is, going to have to look at that for the next how many months until camp opens up.
Well,
I would love to talk about free agents after the Super Bowl just to get an idea of like, okay,
I can't wait.
Who the teams are going to sign and not, and what's going on from there.
For this offseason.
You know what I love? This is the best time of the year for me because let's face it. I mean, yesterday I wore my Cowboy stuff just to feel what it like to wear my stuff on a championship Sunday, and I love mock drafts. Mock drafts, I love mock drafts.
You know why I hate them though? Is because
Johnny would mock you
every so often.
He hates mock drafts.
I love mock drafts.
I got a mixed relationship because every so often I'll see one where like this, they have the Saints taking somebody I want, and then like all the other ones they never are, and it's like, all right, don't trick me here. I hope this happens.
Like I've already seen 3. They have the Cowboys taking a cornerback. They have the Cowboys taking a receiver, and they have the Cowboys taking an offensive lineman. I prefer the offensive lineman. But I love mock drafts, and I love when they do like the 7-round mock drafts.
I'm so excited, man, for this offseason. Yeah. You know why?
It's like the Eagles mock draft. They have the Eagles taking a receiver.
Hold it.
So I'm like, wow.
I said that's not bad. I said because you think about the receivers.
A receiver? No.
Let me tell you this why, right? I think I had to think for a second. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, I think could be a good quarterback, right? I think
there's no one good in this draft.
Now, you have Devontae Smith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you really have after that? I mean, you have Rieger, who is somewhat inconsistent, right? But if you can get like there's good wide receivers, and they're in a good spot for. I mean, technically they went to the playoffs, so.
But you don't need to spend a first-round pick on them. I think same with maybe it's hard to. I guess if it's an all-world talent, sure, but I don't. You
know what I'm hoping for? I'm hoping for a lot of these teams that are above the Saints. They don't need a quarterback, right? So this is I want a receiver because I want that Ohio State guy to play with Michael Thomas. But all I'm saying is if nobody has taken that Ole Miss kid or the Liberty kid or Kyle Pickett and they're just sitting there for the Saints, like why not take a shot on one of those guys?
But the thing is about the Eagles is you have good weapons there. Rieger could be a good receiver.
Who's their receiver? I feel like I'm missing somebody.
The thing is they have a great run game. Do more RPOs. If you do more RPOs, those receivers will get open more. Give them time to gel. I mean, half the season they didn't have their offensive line.
Yeah.
And there's another podcast out there. He's been a guest on our show, and his guests were bashing the Eagles and Jake. But I'm telling you right now, the Eagles, don't get me wrong, they made the playoffs, and that's great. They're a rebuilding team. They're going to be a team to reckon with in the NFC East.
Especially if they draft, I know I just said the receiver would be cool, but if they do get their hands on a good defensive player in the first round and load up that defense, that offense, I think, can be very high-flying.
Yeah,
well, they were the second best. They had the second best rushing offense the last 7 or 8 games of the year.
At one point, they were almost number one.
They had 162 yards a game they were averaging at one point. Yeah. So it's just a matter of giving Hurts some time. Everyone forgets Hurts is only in his second year. Give him some time. Yeah. He's going to be a good quarterback.
The step that he took, too, when you heard the rumors that he was staying later hours to study the playbook and he was randomly asking players when he saw them walking past him, hey, what play is this? That guy is a leader in your locker room, so why would you want to change that right now?
And he's the second best quarterback on the run.
And that was your first year with that new new head coach, right? So you're learning a new playbook. And I forget, we always talk about how I forget what what player we had on, but he brought up Derek Carr, and he's like, everybody wanted to bash Derek Carr, but you have no idea how hard it is to fully understand a playbook after you have a new playbook for 3 years in a row before you feel comfortable and know every single play in it.
And they have 3 picks in the first round. You know what you can do with 3 picks in the first round? If they're smart and they do it right?
Offensive linemen.
And let's face it, the NFC East is wide open because no team has repeated winning the NFC East back-to-back in the last 15, 16, 17 years. So the Dallas Cowboys won't win the East next year because it's a tradition. You win it this year, you don't win it the following year.
Too, since you have 3 first-round picks, you can keep 2, right? And you could trade out, or somebody could give you 2 second-round picks. You can get a lot of talent in second round, third round, fourth round talent.
They have 7 or 8 picks in the first 6 rounds or 5 rounds or something like that. It's ridiculous. So they're going to be fine. And I hate defending the freaking Eagles. I defended Wentz. I hate defending them. But they had a lot of injuries again. Yeah. The thing they need to work on is they need to work on their secondary. Yeah. They don't have cornerbacks.
Darius Slay's good.
Put Rieger in the slot. He's going to be fine. It's just give him time to gel. These guys don't have time to gel. Yeah. So...
Let's guys, I have a few minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's just talk about some of the latest headlines, like McDaniel's going to the Raiders. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
McDaniel. Oh, that's right. The
Patriots offensive coordinator.
I'm surprised he even got a second chance. I mean, he was the Colts. He was the Colts head coach.
Was he?
And right before his press conference, he backed out of the deal.
Yeah, I was going to say that deal never happened, right?
No. So I don't know. I mean.
Oh, Brady too.
Yeah,
the Vikings, I should say, not to sidestep, but the Vikings.
That Harbaugh,
Kirk Cousins making the Pro Bowl because Dak Prescott said no, he didn't want to go.
That Harbaugh deal though heating up. I know you across the table from me don't think it's real.
It's not happening.
They say it's real, man.
Happening. I'm going to tell you, Jim Harbaugh. I'm going to say it right here. Jim Harbaugh is trying to get Michigan to go in those very deep pockets and pull out that bonus money. He renegotiated his contract last year or the year before. He took a pay cut. All these coaches are getting 10, 9, 10, and $100+ million deals. Jim Harbaugh is... I would be surprised if he comes back to the NFL. You are the king in Michigan. You get to pick all your players. You get to recruit players. You coach the GM, the whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. If he leaves, and we talked about this before, it's because he's afraid of next year because he beat Ohio State for the first time in 12 years or whatever the hell it is. He got to the playoffs, which Michigan probably won't do again. And let's face it, to repeat that what he did this year again next year, it's going to be difficult. Ohio State's going to be tough again, so I don't know.
I like the Brian Daboll to the Giants. I know a lot of Giants fans that didn't like that, and the reason I like that is...
Looks like the Big Show.
The reason I like this because the Giants went out and got the assistant GM to the Bills, right? He is now your new GM, and now you just picked up the Bills offense coordinator that's been the offense coordinator for the past 4 years and saw the development of Josh Allen, right? Now you have two guys from the Bills that got good chemistry. Number one, that's a big key that your GM and your coach are on the same page and that they like each other.
That's where Mitchell Trubisky should go. The Giants.
Listen, they're hoping. I think they're hoping. That's
a tough.
I think they're hoping DeBall will savage whatever hope there is left in Daniel Jones.
That's the thing that irritated me today. Like all the reports coming out, oh, this new coach loves Daniel Jones. He ain't going to come in here on day one and say my quarterback sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's seen plenty of tape of all the turnovers, all the freaking fumbles, the interceptions. Daniel Jones,
he averaged a fumble a game.
He's horrible. He's a horrible quarterback, and he's not going to say it on day one. Give it 2 weeks before the draft, and you're going to hear rumors of quarterbacks going to the Giants.
Hot take. Can we take a hot take? Imagine Daniel Jones shines next year and takes the Giants to win the East. And we play back this tape. Daniel Jones is the worst quarterback.
I'm going to record.
I'm sure if you rub on a turd,
the 45-minute mark.
If you rub on a turd long enough, it will turn gold after a while. It's just tarnished. But he's no good, and I'd rather have Mitchell Trubisky there.
Yeah. Well, Base, we know you have to head out.
By the way, Tom Brady is not retiring.
Yeah, Tom Brady. Everyone thought he did retire. I think he is going to retire. I think he just wants to do it on his own terms.
Real quick, ESPN. He has a show on ESPN, and apparently it's called Man in the Arena, and apparently then this is just all speculation. He shot his last episode, and in that last episode, he says he's retiring from football. His brand TB12 came out and actually said something about him retiring, and then they deleted it. Gronk and all these other players came out and congratulated him on his retirement. They deleted their post. Somebody in ESPN caught wind of this and broke the story to Adam Schefter. Yeah. And now Adam Schefter has egg on his face because now Tom Brady's dad's coming out and saying nobody knows what's going on. So I think at the end of the day, I think Tom Brady will retire, but I think it's going to be after the Super Bowl so he doesn't take away from the Super Bowl.
It's sad, but
22 years, man.
It's crazy. It's going to be weird not having Tom Brady there anymore.
They showed what Madden looked like when Tom Brady wasn't in Madden, and it's like, oh my God, it's all pixelated and stuff. It's like, wow.
Jeez.
But we'll try to insert that clip because it's pretty shocking for those that watch on YouTube.
But we hope you guys enjoy this day. We are hoping that the Bengals win the Super Bowl so I can get all my picks correct.
Go whoever, I don't care.
It's going to be a great week. This has been a great playoffs. Yep. But we hope you guys enjoy this. Don't forget to check out Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you listen to the podcast.
And we have new segments coming, and we have guests coming.
We hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week.
God bless.